Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you quite well. Can you hear me?
Yep, you bet.
All right, awesome. So, why don't we just start this off with you telling everyone a little bit about what you do with the in the franchise.
Well, I've been in BioWare for a couple years now. I'm a senior environment artist. Um, yeah, basically just do backgrounds and things like that. Oh, sorry, is the voice too? Can everybody else hear me or no? Sorry, just looking at the chat. There's a few things people are saying they can't hear me.
They say they can't hear you or they can't hear me because not hearing me has always been a big complaint. Uh, no,
And I could try and adjust it. Let me know if you guys can hear me. If you can't hear me, I'll either speak up or I'll try and screw with Skype. I haven't used it too much, so apologies.
okay,
Okay.
so yeah, some people can hear you apparently.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I do background environments, like sort of what you walk on the walls and all that. Like, for instance, if you watched that the Spike Game Awards, the whole ancient Krogan stuff, that was all my stuff. So,
Okay, awesome. So, what specifically have you worked on? I guess in Mass Effect 2, I can quickly pilot myself over there and check it out.
well, funnily enough, my first task actually when I started at BioWare was to make the planet shaders. So everything that you're popping holes into, I did that. I didn't do the mini games, so don't blame me for that if you don't like it. But I did the planet shaders, so that was an interesting task.
Okay, so like, how do you exactly do you come up with the design for what a planet will look like, how it's shaded, that sort of thing?
Uh, Really, it was just do something quick to get something cool. Like it was really, you'd be surprised how little, like how some things really aren't planned. You really just got to be able to do it and make it look good. So I just kind of went in for reference and found some different planet ideas. And the thing with the planets is you had to make them really procedural
Mm-hmm.
because there's only like I'd say 15 or 16 different sort of looks to the planets, and then the colors all change based off of locations and so on. If it's an ice planet, we'll tint it blue and things like that. The shader was really complex for that, just to get it all going, because we can't use a lot of textures for this sort of stuff. You know, the planet textures are pretty intense, so we had to get a lot of reuse out of them.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of did notice about the different skins thing and basic shapes. What references did you really use for these? Was it like you'd go to NASA, take a look at the different planets discovered and resolutions of those, and just apply those, or
Sorry, can you say that again?
I'm just wondering, like, what references did you use to create these textures? Like, where did you find them?
Just Google Images initially, just to like we just look for reference, and then I kind of build the shader from there. I used a thing called it's Filter Forge. It's sort of a Photoshop filter. You go on and you plug in a bunch of different shader nodes and so on, and you try and make a. It's called a normal map and just different things like that to try and get the shader for the different planets. It's pretty involved, but it works out well in the end.
Okay, now what exactly is an environment artist, and how would that differ from like a level designer?
Well, the level designer is more geared towards cover layouts and combats and so on. They don't really deal with any of the visuals. Like I'd go in and place down, let's say like the crates and so on, and just the different architecture. And the level designer comes in and sort of says, "No, you got to move this around to make this work better, so that, Shepard can shoot these guys over here, and you have more cover and flanking and so on." So we basically do the visuals, they do the combats, I guess you could say, for a really basic explanation.
Okay, and you said you've been Bioware for what, 8 years? You said
Oh no,
no.
how did I get there? I got there halfway through Mass 2, so what was
Okay,
that, like 3.5 years ago?
I don't know where I got eight then. So how did you really get into the industry then?
Went to school. I've been in the industry for about 12 years now. I went to school and just basically, like, I mean, I've always loved video games. So I just really tried to do low polygon stuff and non-movie related things and just sent my portfolio out anywhere. And my first job was actually in the UK, so I moved over there and just started from there. It seems like industry experience is kind of the best way to kind of carry on with your work. It's a little bit of a catch-22. You need experience to get experience, but if you're lucky enough, it works out well.
Okay, so have you always been interested in environment design above all else, or was that something you just kind of fell into?
I've done a few different things. Initially, I started off, I was working on a racing game, and I did environments for that, and that was just sort of the job that was available. Then after that, I went to work at DICE, worked on Battlefield for a while. I did vehicles. I don't know if you've ever played Battlefield Vietnam, but I did most of the vehicles in that. And carried on to Relic Entertainment, the guys that did Homeworld, and did vehicles there. And then after that, I just went straight environments. I've been doing environments now for about 5 years solid, I think.
Oh, wow, nice. So you've got quite a bit of experience then.
Yeah, it varies. Like I said, it's just the job has changed a lot over the years. Initially when I first started off, you were a generic artist. You were kind of expected to do a lot of different things. And as the new generations of consoles come out, you kind of got to specialize a little bit more. It's not just two guys in their basement, making artwork anymore and programming. So.
Okay. So Platformer BG wants to know, what is the most important thing in environment design in your opinion?
There's a lot of different things that kind of come together, but just being able to composition, I guess, is a big one. Picking a shot and just deciding, what makes that look good. It's kind of like photography, I guess. You need to be able to find that good shot that the player is always going to be looking at and build the shot towards that. I mean, the challenge with that as well, that's past photography, is you need to be able to move around within that picture and make it look good as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're designing an environment, about how much information are you given? Like, do they just say, here's the planet, here's the sort of planet, go design something?
It really depends on how busy everybody is. You'd be surprised the range of concepts we get. At the beginning of the project, like some of the earliest levels that were done, like Earth and I think in the demo level, the Solarian stuff, those were the first two levels that people worked on. So you get a lot of concepts for that. But like I worked on the Krogan stuff, the Tuchanka stuff, which came on, I'd say, a quarter or midway through the project, and everybody was pretty slammed. So you really do kind of have to make stuff up as you go. So I'd be working with the writers saying, hey, can I do this? And can you write this into the background of the Krogan history? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? So it's a pretty cool thing.
So that's pretty cool. You kind of ended up, through the environment, shaping the history of the Krogans then in your own way. Yeah,
like I said, as long as it's not like a really stupid request, the writers are really good at that. They let you do what you want, and BioWare is really good for that. Everybody can contribute.
That's cool. Yeah, that's actually one of the things I noticed about. I'm gonna pronounce the name horribly wrong, so I'm terrible. Tuchanka, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, I noticed that Tuchanka is actually one of the more unique environments in the world, because everything there is just pure ruin. Like, what was your kind of inspiration for designing the Tuchanka aesthetic like that?
Well, there's two different sections to Tuchanka that we've done it's sort of like the modern, we call it modern and ancient. There's the two different areas. The modern stuff is the ruins that you see in ME2, and you see them again in ME3, but the more kind of modern, bombed out areas, and then the stuff that you kind of got hints at in the Spike video game trailer, that we call it the ancient stuff. That's where the Krogans kind of came from back when their empire was a lot bigger and before the genophage hit them.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So what types of software do you use, or is it all self-contained in the Unreal Engine?
No, we use Unreal, obviously, and then we use 3D Studio Max, Photoshop, a little bit of ZBrush once in a while, and then everybody kind of has their own little programs that smaller ones to help them out. Like for normal maps, I use this thing called X normal. Crazy Bump is another one that a lot of people use. So it's really just, but Photoshop and 3D Studio Max are the big ones.
Okay, nice. So have you played Mass Effect games yourself, or like, are you kind of hands off after you've designed everything?
Oh no, I'm a huge fan. I mean, even before I came to BioWare, Mass 1 came out and I beat it in a weekend, and yeah, I just absolutely loved it. I wasn't really sure what to expect. Like, I mean, I've always been a big fan of BioWare, but Mass Effect's obviously different. And yeah, I just, you know, like the end of that game, like my jaw was just dropped. I just loved that game, so I was a fan immediately.
Awesome. Platformer BG wants to know whether or not you use Wacom tablets.
Yep, we use those for textures. Some guys, our concept artists use Cintiqs, which are the you draw on the screen, but level artists use just regular Wacom tablets.
Okay. Farmer Bob wants to know, did you have any hand of the sweeping set pieces in the Mass Effect 2 DLC? The outdoor vista in Overworld and the outside of the Shadow Broker's ship were particularly impressive.
Overlord, I worked on the VI world, like the last level with, where it goes all crazy and you're kind of half in reality, half in virtual reality. The outdoor stuff probably helped out with a little bit on, but that wasn't my specific level. The VI stuff was really intensive to get done, so that was my main area for those. And Shadow Broker, I worked on the first level when you kind of go into the big skyscraper and it blows up. That was my level as well.
Okay, and Chanel wants to know, do you just do maps, or do you do any of the character artwork, either clothing, armor, guns, etc.?
No, characters are a totally different beast of their own. They're very separate from environment art.
Okay. So I have to ask, is your Shepard a Paragon or a Renegade?
Yeah, I go Paragon. I have a hard time trying to be a dick with Shepard, so I kind of like him to be the good guy. He just seems like a good guy to me, so that's the way I always play him.
That's the problem I was having playing recently. Like we kind of have a voting system going on. I think I might have explained it before, where we have two widgets: the Paragon widget and the Renegade widget. Whichever one has the most donations is the one that I play as.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Renegade's winning, and I'm just hating everything I do because I'm sitting like, I don't want to be a dick. Like, I don't want to punch. No, actually, I do enjoy punching people in the face, but I don't want to like make people want to cry.
Yeah. I think the only kind of well, I guess it wasn't Renegade, but I just did it because it was funny. It was in Mass 1 when you can sleep with Liara, and she asks if you want to do a three-way, and you can joke about that. I think that's the only thing I did is Renegade, but I did that more for the humor than anything.
Nice. The Hellraider wants to know, he's been working on a game designing in school and is wondering, is it hard to become involved with a company like BioWare?
It can be, I guess. It's not the nicest thing to say, I guess, but like getting into games really is sort of a lot of luck and a lot of skill, I guess. It's not the easiest thing to do anymore. Really, it is down to what you can show for skill, and if you're like an amazing artist and you can show it, then there's a good chance we'll get you in. But you really need to be able to show that you're amazing from the get-go. Send in your images that you show need to really show off some amazing work.
Okay. As a follow-up, I want to know, with the new Skyrim creation kit coming out, do you think someone could use that for a portfolio?
You could probably do that for level design. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really used that creation kit, but for level art, I guess you could use that if you could import your own assets and textures and so on, but it sounds like that would be more for level design. The only thing you could use it for level art is if you to show like shot composition. Let's say you make a cool mountain in the background with existing assets and lighting and so on. But to show the whole package for level art, you need to be able to like model and texture and have that kind of stuff in there.
Okay, and CBBRVTR, was there any conflicting interests while compiling the concept art for characters, worlds, and development.